Welcome back into HQ Spotlight. It is a thankless job, but we asked Brad Crawford to give us his college football playoff bracket after 2 weeks of action in college football. And he's got Notre Dame, Texas Tech, USF, Georgia, South Carolina, Oregon, Florida State, Texas, and you see those top 4 teams in Ohio State, LSU, Miami, and Penn State. There's a lot of emptiness on this bracket, though, so we're going to continue to fill it out and welcome on Brad Crawford to walk us through some of these games. Let's start with the first round. We've got Notre Dame at Texas Tech. I want to ask you specifically about Notre Dame because they're 0-1 on the season, just came off a bye week, but what has you still believing in the Irish to make it into this bracket?
Yeah, I think Jeremiah Love remains a Heisman candidate despite not getting many touches in that opening game against Miami. I think he's still going to have a 1,000-yard season, and Notre Dame should be a playoff team. Now, with that being said, Emily, they have to win Saturday against Texas A&M. This Fighting Irish squad cannot afford a 0-2 start to the season. And even winning out from there, they won't have any wins against a top 25 opponent, even at 10-2. So Saturday's game against A&M is a must-win for Notre Dame. Right now, here in Week 3, I'm still penciling in Marcus Freeman's team as a playoff competitor.
Maybe in light pencil, or I've got an erasable pen here, which is some great technology, but certainly that is the expectation for the Irish coming into this season. Hopefully at the end we see them there. Elsewhere, you've got South Florida continuing to just upset after upset against Georgia. What should we look forward to in this potential hypothetical matchup?
Yeah, the only team in college football right now with back-to-back wins against top 25 teams, that is South Florida Bulls. Surprising so far because they were not the G5 pick to win that sector in the preseason. A lot of us had Navy, me included, maybe Boise State, but USF right now is playing lights out and really good year so far under Golesh. Now Georgia going to Athens in December, that'd be a different animal. That would be the toughest game of the year for USF. Georgia right now is my 5 seed as the SEC runner-up. So that'd be a first-round game that Bulldogs fans would be chomping at the bit to get to.
Oh, yeah. A very long trip you have booked for number 11 South Carolina right now, headed to Eugene to face the 6th-seeded Oregon Ducks. What do you like about this potential matchup?
Yeah, there'd be a smattering of Garnet and Black Gamecock fans there in Eugene.
They'll make the trip.
That's a cross-country trip. That's South Carolina's first playoff appearance. Right now, the offensive line for the Gamecocks is a little bit of a question. But when you have 2 players as talented as Lenore Sells at quarterback and Dylan Stewart at edge, I like the Gamecocks' chances. They need to get to 10 wins, though, to assure this playoff position. And then Oregon, right now, is my 6th seed, getting a first-round home game. Dan Lanning last season had a bye, lost to Ohio State at the Rose Bowl in that second round. This time around does not win the Big Ten and gets a home game. That's a favorable matchup. If the Ducks and Gamecocks do battle, I think Oregon would be about a 9.5 to 10-point favorite in that game.
Yeah, they take that after running into the buzzsaw that was Ohio State last year in the playoffs. Meanwhile, we have the 10-seed Florida State at 7-seeded Texas. Who wins this game?
2 blue bloods, and one of these programs was bad last season. 10 losses from Mike Norvell. But 2024 is so in the past. Tommy Castellanos, transfer from Boston College, is a Heisman candidate right now through 2 weeks. Then you've got Texas, still kind of working out the kinks offensively with Arch Manning settling in now as a first-year starting quarterback. I love this matchup that we could potentially get in the first round. FSU going to the 40 acres and playing the Longhorns. I would take Texas in this game, but not by much. Florida State's a team right now that I think finishes second to Miami in the ACC.
Before we move on to the quarters, real quick, people are asking, why no Clemson?
Yeah, Clemson just has not looked the part. They haven't passed the eye test. Most surprisingly, Emily, Cade Klubnik, one of my top quarterback prospects coming into 2025, has not looked good. Multiple turnovers, and they almost lost to Troy over the weekend. So Clemson has a long way to go to be a playoff team.
All right, let's talk about the teams in the quarterfinal. You have Notre Dame against Ohio State. Who you got moving on?
Rematch of last season's national championship game. Ohio State beats Notre Dame again. Ohio State's the 1 seed for a reason. I think they're the only team in college football right now capable of finishing unbeaten. We're going to see a lot of parity over these next few months, but in that quarterfinal game, I like Ohio State to beat Notre Dame as the top seed.
And who do you have facing them in that in that semifinal game between Georgia and Penn State?
Yeah, Georgia and Penn State, I think Penn State wins. That'll be a black and blue game. Last team with the football, best defense wins that game. Maybe turnover battle there decides it. But Penn State's a team last season, got to the semifinal under James Franklin, has the same roster, added some new pieces in the portal. Penn State is one of my favorites right now in the Big Ten. And Georgia, once again, a quarterfinal playoff exit under Kirby Smart.
Color scheme will also be black and blue, so that works out perfectly. Elsewhere, you've got 6-seeded Oregon going up against the 3-seed and Miami, who moves on.
This is my lone upset in the quarterfinals. I like Oregon. If this offense can stay hot with Dante Moore at quarterback, and we still 5-star true freshman DeCorian Moore have a couple touchdowns against Oklahoma State, this is an Oregon team that looks the part, and especially good defensively. Miami, we know, has already had some quality wins to it. Did beat Notre Dame in the opener. But Carson Beck, going up against a pass rush, he's going to face in Oregon. That's a tough game. 6-seeded Oregon beats Miami.
And who will they be facing between Texas and LSU?
Arguably the best game of this playoff bracket. I think LSU beats Texas. We may get a rematch of the SEC championship game, LSU as the 2 seed. Now, Saturday night, they could not run the ball against Louisiana Tech. That's a bad sign moving forward, but I do like LSU's talent, and defensively, they are the most improved team in college football on that side of the football.
Rematch of the SEC championship game. Just slid that prediction in there. I appreciate it. All right, 4 teams advancing to the semifinals. We have Penn State and Ohio State. Whew, talk about black and blue. That matchup is going to be electric. But who is moving on to the big game?
Yeah, there's a chance that we could see Buckeyes, Nittany Lions 3 times this season. First in the regular season on November 1st, maybe again in Indianapolis in the Big Ten title game, and then in the semifinal. I think Ohio State at least wins 2 of those matchups. Ryan Day has not lost to James Franklin yet in his tenure. I think it's 8 straight losses for Penn State overall against the Buckeyes. They might get them during the regular season, but when the semis rolls around, Ohio State beats Penn State and gets back to the finale.
Whew. All right, Ducks and Tigers. Who you got?
I've got the Tigers over the Ducks. LSU, Oregon, a matchup of great uniforms, by the way. These 2 teams, they're going to look great in the semifinal when they take the field. But LSU has the little edge here. Garrett Nussmeier, possibly the Heisman winner this season, going up against Dante Moore. I like LSU in a shootout for an Ohio State-LSU final.
Number 1 and number 2. We had that one upset along the way, but overall going to be chalk in the national championship. Will it be back-to-back for Ohio State, or will LSU push through for the first time since 2019?
I don't like going chalk here, but I am going Ohio State to win it all, at least in week 3. Julian Sain, he was fantastic against Grambling. Jeremiah Smith has gotten the end zone now a couple times this season. That combo right there, Emily, is the best quarterback-wide receiver duo in college football. I think LSU struggles to contain it several months down the road. And Ohio State, under Ryan Day, a coach on the hot seat about 14 months ago, wins his 2nd consecutive title.
Wow. All right, Sharpie. Thank you so much, Brad Crawford, for walking us through your college football playoff bracket. Taking a look at it one more time. Something that stands out to me is you got 3 Florida teams in there. Should be interesting to see how far they move on. But once again, Brad is liking Ohio State, the Buckeyes, to go back-to-back for the national title. What do you think about that, Tommy?
Yeah, 3 times in 1 year. I wonder what those spreads would be like with Ohio State and Penn State. Could you imagine? Yeah, that's where my head goes.
3-game series in college football. Who would have thought? But that's what could happen with this college football playoff, the way that the seeding works. We could see it again.